Director of Marketing and Program Development for the Friends and Foundation of the Rochester Public Library. We welcome you to Tuesday Topics. We are live streaming the formal portion of today's program to the library's YouTube channel. If you're looking to access the induction loop service in the auditorium, please adjust your hearing aid to the T switch. The Friends and Foundation of RPL raises funds, presents programs, supports special projects, helps to create specialized spaces, and purchases supplemental materials and equipment for the Rochester Public Library, like many of the things you see here today. As you probably noticed, this week, FFRPL is holding a book sale just outside of the auditorium, and proceeds benefit the library. Throughout February, the library is celebrating Black History. Visit ffrpl.org for an overview of current as well as archived Black History programs and resources, as well as a link to Central Library's second annual Black Film Festival. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. in this auditorium will be a screening of the 2021 documentary, How Does It Feel to Be a Problem? And on Friday, here at 4, there will be a screening of Eartha Kitt's New Faces. Visit rockcitylibrary.org or ffrpl.org for more information. Our Tuesday Topics series this month showcases some of the Rochester Public Library's branches. Our presenter today is Bruce Tehan, Site Supervisor for the Arnett branch. Bruce will outline highlights from 2023, which was Arnett's 100th year of service, mobile services they provide, such as Books by Bike, special inventory, including oversized games used for outreach, which FFRPL helped purchase, and other unique features of the branch, which was named the 2015 Library of the Year by the Rochester Regional Library Council. Please join me in welcoming Bruce to the podium.
Thank you, Susan, and thank you all for coming to this. I'm real excited. I see a lot of Arnetters in the audience, and the Arnett Library is really a special place. It's because of all the people who walk through its doors. The Arnett Branch Library is a true community library. I think the first time I learned about Arnett, I was in library school, and I had an assignment where I had to go and observe a teen area at some library, and I picked Arnett. And I was just sitting at a table, minding my own business, but keeping an eye on what was going on in the teen area. And every teen that walked through the doors greeted all the other teens. They all knew each other, and they were friends. And they knew the youth services person working in there, Mr. C. I think pretty much everybody in the Arnett community knew Mr. C. He's the guy who got that teen center and a whole bunch of teen centers in the Rochester Public Library system rolling. I was struck by that. They were all friends, and they knew each other. They knew each other's names, they knew the staff's names, and there were real close relationships between them. And that's really what Arnett is about. As you roll through these pictures to my left, you're going to see a lot of community members enjoying the library, volunteering at the library, putting on programs at the library, bringing their kids to the library, bringing their grandkids to the library. It's a true community library. There's so many special things about it. Whether it's a grandmother reading to her kid or a grandkid in the library, whether it's a father racing in with his teen to get, before we close, to get some materials for a homework assignment, whether it's a group of adults quietly giving a round of applause to a woman who just found out on one of our public computers that she just got her bachelor's degree from a college. That's one of the more special things I'll always remember. This woman, she didn't have a computer at home. She was doing her work in public libraries and whatnot. She went online and saw she had hit the mark. She's getting her degree. And tears were coming down her face as she was thinking about what this was going to mean for her family, their economic status and all that, her achievement. It was real important to her. And she just kind of gasped and said a few words to herself, and everybody else just quietly gave her a round of applause. It was a real touching moment, and that kind of stuff happens all the time at Arnett. And I just can't stress that enough. It's the people in our community that make it a wonderful place. One of the organizations that's part of that community is the Friends and Foundation of RPL, which is sponsoring this program. And throughout this talk, you're going to see a lot of stuff that they quietly were involved with that helped make the library a special place. Another group that's huge is Arnett's Volunteer and Friends. I can't stress enough what they do for the library. They've beautified the building. They put on wonderful programs. They're the ones that have instilled a sense of camaraderie in the library. Can't stress that enough. You'll see all of them, and one of the pictures you'll see here is a group picture we took last February. We were getting ready to celebrate our 100th year anniversary of service, and we just sent out a call, hey, we want some people here for a picture. And over 100 people showed up for this picture in February, some cold February night. And one of our volunteers, a lady named Margie Meath, took the picture for us. And that night was special. The picture came out great, and it was like, I don't know, it was like that, you know that TV show Cheers, where everybody gets together, they all know their names? That's what was happening that night. Everybody was mixing and mingling, reminiscing about this library. Folks have been coming for decades and decades. It was a special night, seeing adults who remembered librarians when they were kids, community members bumping into old coaches, stuff like that. It was just a special, special night. And so as I ramble on, I'm just going to start talking about all the cool stuff that our community has done for us and how we've tried to be a part of that community. For our 100th year anniversary, we did a lot of things. We started off with a music concert where we really celebrated the last 100 years. Again, that's something put on by our local volunteers, and the concerts were spectacular. It's a series of concerts we do year in, year out, and they're always wonderful. And you're going to want to check the ones going on this year, too. That group arranged for a birthday party for us in September. That's 100 years ago. That was when we had our grand opening. And that was just a phenomenal event. Food, music, mixing and mingling, tons of games. A lot of these games here were part of that party, and those were bought by the foundation. What was neat about that was how many different types of people enjoyed that night and enjoyed the library in general. We had toddlers and we had senior citizens just having a ball. We had a mayor, our mayor was there. He stayed the whole time just hanging out with people, having laughs with everybody. We had it just was a phenomenal night. And pretty much every day at Arnett is kind of like that. It's just a joyous place where we do the education, stuff that you think of as libraries, books and whatnot, but it's also a true community center. You'll see rolling through here, you'll see a lot of people working on our street one day. The community just gathered to kind of beautify our corner at Arnett and Warwick, and they just came together and did that, and it was led by our volunteers. Susan Morehouse especially was important in that and a ton of the stuff we do. Let's see, what else do I want to talk about? We have a lot of different events like classes, a lot of fun holiday events, and we also try and get out in the community. You'll see our mobile bike rolling through a lot of these pictures. It was real important to the Arnett team to be out in the community. One of our branch managers, Deb Leary, was really important for that. She knew not only how important it was to get the community coming to us, it was important for us to get out in the community, providing different services, talking about what we do, and making people happy outside the library. And when we go places, we try and go big. We bring a portable library with us. We bring games. We always try and bring something fun along with our library services. And we also think it's important our building reflects our community. We wanted it to be a warm, inviting spot. And again, I gotta give a shout out to Deb Leary again and her volunteers at that time. They really went to town to make the library as warm and loving as the community it's a part of. They built a tree in the middle of our children's area. They built a tree, and they built some display cases, and they brought in one of Rochester's best artists, a guy named Richmond Futch, to do a lot of painting in there. And it made the library kind of magical, along with being warm. And you'll see just wonderful things in our kids area, in our lobby. You'll see a huge map in the main part of our library of places a library can take you. Come to think of it, the supplies for that library were bought by the foundation, the Friends and Foundation of RPL. Seems like they had their hands in a lot of different things. And then, after we got that inside done, we were looking at the outside of our building. And it's a good building, but it didn't really look all that hot. You know, it wasn't all that attractive. So, a family wanted to honor their mother, Violet Keating, who was a longtime member of the Arnett Library, a former school guard who got a lot of kids to school safely over the years and well loved in the neighborhood. And she gave us some money to put a mural up in the library. About 7 or 8 panels near our front door, basically. It's a book spine mural of different books that kind of meant a lot to our community. And it was a major hit. People loved it. And all of a sudden, the rest of the people in our community kept coming up wanting to do more and more. And they kept giving money to the foundation, which kind of spearheaded the project for us. And the next thing you know, it took a few years, we have one of the prettiest libraries in the city. It's just gorgeous. We get people wandering around, strolling around the front of our library, almost as if they were at the Memorial Art Gallery or something, looking at our artwork. And that was community driven. And again, once again, our community made this library special. And inside the library, we do a lot of computer help. We have a lot of kids programs. And our kids programs organically are real important because of what our community does. The wonderful lady who runs our children's area, her name is Miss P. She puts on these great programs, and oftentimes you'll see some of the moms who bring their kids, lending a hand, helping other kids out. It becomes a team effort making those programs great. Our neighborhood organizations are a huge part of supporting us. They invite us to the West Side Market every week in the summer. We have a ball there. The 19th Ward Community Association, the Arnett Block Association, all these organizations help us out a lot, and we're proud to be a member of those organizations. Our staff is fantastic. They're always getting honored by the city. It's the best staff in the world. They're a great team. We get a lot of great support from the Monroe County Library System, who brought the Rochester Amherst to us recently. So it's a quite special place. We do stuff inside and outside, and I can't stress how it being a community is what makes it good. There's a bunch of our volunteers making the library street look nice. I see Dan Ross in our crowd right here. There was one event outside. As you guessed, I'm not a good public speaker. He took the lead for me on one program and gave a great speech. It's that kind of stuff that saves me all the time. Dan and Jay are two of our gardeners who do a great job, as are Bill and Susan Morehouse. Our kids are spectacular. We had a wonderful summer this year, and it was one of our kids, I think, who was the key to that. He really took an interest in our summer reading program, and he kept bringing more and more kids to the library to join and encourage them to participate. And it made for a spectacular summer. And it was that kid who I think was probably responsible for the majority of our kids coming and participating. He also ran a program for us. It was one day when we had a ton of kids in the library, and we didn't have any kids programs going that day. And he came up to me and said, look, something's going to be done. And this is like a 10-year-old kid. And I was busy. I go, I don't know what to do. What do you think we should do? And he thought about it, and he came up with a program, a scavenger hunt to show what the resources of the library. And I go, that sounds good, but you're going to have to run it, I told him. And he came up with a plan, and he ran that library, and he ran it spectacularly. It worked so well, we ran it 2 more times that summer. So the neat thing about, for me, working at that library is my staff, the patrons, the volunteers, they're all smarter, kinder, and harder working than me, and they just make this place fantastic. And as I just mentioned, I'm a terrible public speaker, so I'm sure I just missed some stuff about the Arnett Library. I'm wondering if some of the folk in the neighborhood have any questions or comments for me.
Can you tell us about the artwork on the outside wall?
Absolutely. The question is about the artwork on the outside of our building. What we did when we got our first initial donation to do something on the outside of our library, we were looking at the building, and it was the walls looked to me to be like, almost like a shelf of books. So we thought, all right, we'll make a book spine mural. And so the staff, bouncing ideas off with our patrons, came up with some books that kind of would mean a lot to our library patrons. And whereas all the artwork inside the library had been done free by Richmond Futch, who's, if you ever have a chance to check out his artwork around town, do it. He's fantastic. We knew that we wanted this to be a paid thing we were doing. We wanted to pay the artist. And I crossed my fingers. I gave him a call to see if he would do it for us, and he said yes. And he brought 2 more artists on with him, Ebony Singleton and Chloe Smith, 2 outstanding artists. And, you know, I told him, here's the books we want, just, you know, put names, maybe a little image or 2. I didn't know what we were going to get. And all of a sudden, there was a snow-capped mountain, an eagle, a portrait of Rochester's greatest civil rights hero, and a big blue dragon appearing on our building. I was blown away by it. I had no idea that we were going to get something that spectacular. I knew we were going to get something good, but I didn't know we'd get something that spectacular. Those artists just went to town. I couldn't believe the amount of work they did on that. And it really made a big difference. And then each year, we had more and more members of our community wanting to see more done. And we kept getting donations through the Friends and Foundation. Some of those donations were maybe a couple bucks from someone who really didn't have a couple bucks to spare. Some were really big, but they all meant a big deal. And each year we kept adding. We tried to pick books that were going to be important to our patrons and would just make the library look more beautiful. During the height of the COVID-19 situation, we put up a real lot that year because we were looking for ways to really serve our community. And where this is a time when not people were going into buildings too much, we knew the outside of our building was going to be especially important. And a lot of them went up then, and our friends and neighbors just came through for us. And let's see. And I mentioned those 3 artists that we paid to do them. They loved it so much they ended up doing a lot of these panels for free for us as well. Can't say enough about those guys. But yeah, that was a great thing. Yes?
So is the library, all the supplies available? Are they all done now, or do you still have 1 or 2 that could be?
We're done. We left some, if you look at the front of the building, you will see spaces. That's intentional. Talking with the artists, they felt you needed some blank space to make the artwork pop. And what's funny is that's exactly what libraries do with their real shelves. We don't try and cram the shelves too deep, pack the books in too tightly, because we know it looks more attractive if there are a few breaks. Supermarkets do that as well sometimes, you'll see. So yeah, the spaces there are intentional.
Is that the same building that you had since 1923?
The question is if this is the same building we've always had. I'm glad you asked that. It's this building that we have went up in 1973. The building before it stood on the same plot of land, but it was a separate building. One thing that's real neat about that first building, when that library was first being created, before they brought any books into the library, they invited all the neighbors to a big dance held right in that building. So I think since day one, the Arnett branch has always been thinking of itself as a community place. So. And oh, that's a great question. The question is, what are we doing with our parking lot? We have a really nice parking lot, and it used to have 2 entrances, one from Arnett Boulevard and one from Warwick Avenue. And we've temporarily blocked off the Arnett entrance due to some safety concerns about some cars kind of racing in and out there. It's something that eventually that lot will get opened back up, but temporarily we blocked that off because we knew it would be safer for all the people strolling into the library, so we had to block it off for a while. Eventually it'll be opened back up again, though. Oh my gosh, I'm glad there's a question about School 16's reading. A team of our volunteers goes to School 16 each week and reads to the kids there, the younger kids in that school. It's just a wonderful program, and the kids really look forward to it. Sometimes I'll see the kids in the library bumping into one of the readers, and they get all excited that the reader they saw at school, they bump into it again in the library. You could tell it really means a lot to those kids. And those same readers who go to those schools, they also arrange for the schools to come to the library. We've had wonderful events where the kids come from the schools into the library for different events, like Christmas events, spring play events, playtime events. Yeah, our volunteers that get out in the community, getting kids reading all the time. It's a really great thing they do.
Well, I know many of the libraries have toy libraries too. I've always wondered though, when you send something with 72 pieces home, do you get all 72 pieces back, or how do you?
The question is, when Rochester Public Libraries loan out toys, do we get all our toys back? No, pieces come back missing. We know that something's going to happen. We're just happy to be getting toys in kids' hands, and we're quite understanding about not everything's going to get brought back just right. We got ways to replace them. And speaking of toys, I got to give a shout out to the toy library, which is embedded into the Lincoln branch of RPL. It's a fantastic resource, and all those toys that they got, you don't just have to go there to borrow. They'll send them to any one of our branches, including the Arnett branch, for families to borrow. It's a great resource. Oh, that's right. Well, I want to, if there's no more questions, I just want to thank everybody for coming. And I want to thank the Friends and Foundation. Besides inviting me here, all these toys you see and that you'll see in the communities that we're rolling around, they gave to us thanks to their donors. Our portable library, Books by Bike, that was given to us by the Friend and Foundation and the Rochester Regional Library Rochester Regional Library Council. They're the folks who gave us that. And while I'm on Books by Bike, I gotta give a shout out to Central Library's graphics department and their maintenance team. The maintenance team built it, and the graphics department made it look pretty. And I should give a big shout out to a clerk at Arnett, who's also named Bruce, not me, a different Bruce, who's an expert bicyclist. He came up with the design for the thing. And so yeah, that's another example of a lot of organizations and people doing something nice for the library, and the library being able to do something nice for the community. Well, thank you all, and I'm sure I forgot a ton of stuff. So, if you want to learn more about the Arnett Library, head over to Books by Bike, which is in the corner of this room right here, and pick up a book about the Arnett Branch Library. That again was funded by the Friends and Foundation of RPL. And if you're watching this online, visit the Arnett Branch Library's page on the Rochester Public Library's website, and you'll see a digital copy there. And thank you very much, everybody.